My name is Tyler Fornes, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Good, the Bad, and the Hungy AEW podcast here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. We take a broad scope approach to the world of All Elite Wrestling and the entire universe of Tony Khan. We talk about the big matches, the big stars, the promos, the storylines, and we also look at it from a big picture perspective. How are things going to change over the course of the next 10 years with AEW still in the picture? How are companies like WWE going to adapt and adjust to AEW? Are they going to be a similar way like they did with WCW in the late 1990s? Will there be a counterpunch? We talk about all of that and more on The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy every week on the Voice of Wrestling Network.
Wrestling Omakase is back, baby. The weekly podcast that takes you across all the top promotions on the entire Japanese wrestling scene, from New Japan to Stardom, Noah, DDT, All Japan, Mari Gold, Dragon Gate, Tokyo Joshi, Sendai Girls, and a whole lot more. I'm John Carroll, a fan of Japanese wrestling for over 20 years, and every week I'm joined by a rotating cast of guest co-hosts as we break down all the top promotions in Japan, men's and women's. Check out Wrestling Omakase right here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network today.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A-game. A-man, no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This is an A-game, better bring your A-game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A-game. A-man, no rain from...
Hey now, it's the Mike and JD show, and I am your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm joined as always. Well, he's back once again. JD by God Oliva. How you doing, JD?
I'm on the struggle bus today, man. Like, just nothing is freaking working. And like our show went really good. I dropped it on Race for Impact last week. Worked just fine, no issues. Yeah. I got my computer up today, and just nothing's freaking working. And it just drives me insane that nothing freaking works. But I'm okay.
Yeah, You're good. You're good now. We might have to come up with a strategy before next week, but I think you look good and you sound fine. You're just on your phone, right?
I'm just on my phone with my wireless headset right now. So that's the mic I'm using. None of the expensive stuff that we actually pay for. So
yeah, I don't think the phone doesn't sound as good as a microphone, but it doesn't sound bad. So.
I know, but I pride myself on being a professional, and I teach this stuff, and then it just doesn't freaking work. It's frustrating.
Can I tell you one thing that annoys me about my background? I can see the ring camera, the ring thing light in the picture frame behind me, but I can't move the picture frame because my daughter put it there.
So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go on to Amazon, and you can there's a spray that you can buy they use for movies, right? You just spray it on there, and it dulls it out. I think
I spray the picture frame?
Yeah, you spray the picture frame for the glass.
And no shit.
Yeah, that's what they do in movies.
Oh.
I think old school hairspray will work too, but in 2025, who the hell has old school hairspray? You know?
I don't. My wife might have hairspray. I don't know.
Try it. Otherwise,
I'll okay. Cool.
I forget what it's called, but there's stuff we used to use back when I worked in indie film. You just spray it on windows and mirrors and stuff, and that worked good for reflections.
Yeah. So we're live exclusively on the Patreon tonight. It's something that we're trying for a little while. We'll probably keep it going. We got Billy from Philly in the chat. What's up, Billy? If you're a Patreon subscriber and you're watching, feel free to drop in the chat, drop some topics. We actually have a bunch of stuff to talk about. The wrestling gods have bestowed upon us some really good news, some thumbnailable news for us to clip for the YouTube. So we're going live on Patreon, and then all the stories will be clipped on the YouTube throughout the week. And then, of course, we're The free audio goes to the Voices of Wrestling Network. So everybody will get access to the show. We're just not doing it live on our YouTube channel. We're just doing it live on YouTube or on Patreon for now. But if you're watching on YouTube or you're listening to us on the Voices of Wrestling Network, please come over to the Patreon, patreon.com/the Mike and JD show. Be a part of the live experience. Be part of the Brace for Impact live experience on Thursday nights immediately following Impact. JD dropped in this past week just because we had news to talk about, so that was fun. We're going to get back into that story a little bit in a little bit because JD has more on that story. But before we get to the wrestling news, how is everything going at the house? Most people didn't hear this story because I did not clip it for YouTube. But Astro the Wonder Dog took you out of the episode last week. How is the little guy doing, and how's the family doing?
So I'll repeat this story for the non-Brace for Impact faithful. Last Sunday, we were doing stuff, and my wife bought from the butcher shop in town these like bacon wrapped pork chops right from the butcher. We have a great butcher in DeKalb. So I was out of propane. So I drove myself to the gas station down the street. We live rurally, so the gas station's a mile away. So I drove to the gas station, was ready to bought myself some new propane, also picked up an iced tea. I get a call from Michelle. She says, we changed the plans tonight. The dog ate the pork chops. And I'm like, of fucking course he did, because he's an asshole. And she's like, he ate a couple toothpicks. I think we have to go to the emergency vet. And in my head, I'm like thinking, like, wooden toothpicks. And I'm like, that's a dickhead. Like, so I'm just mad at the dog because, again, I really wanted to eat these pork chops. And two, we had a show coming up, and I'm just like, I'm annoyed. And then she informs me that these are, in fact, metal skewers that he ate. They were from the butcher that they used to keep the bacon in place. And she showed me one of them, and I'm like, holy shit. It was like about this long with a little metal loop at the end.
So for the people just listening, we're talking like 3 to 4 inch skewers, right, with a loop on the end of it.
Yeah, about 3.5 inch skewers, metal skewers. With loop at the end. I'm like, well, shit, that's actually pretty serious. So we load up the car with the kid who's freaking out because the dog is his best friend, and we drive to the emergency vet, which is, by the way, 45 minutes away from us because I chose to move to the middle of BFE in the middle of the pandemic. Good choice. So we're driving there. We get there. They take an X-ray, and I immediately text you, John, who's our good buddy, the pictures from the X-ray. You can very clearly see 2 metal skewers in the stomach. The vet goes, there's nothing we can do right now because he actually swallowed the pork chops whole. So my dumbass dog just took those giant pork chops down in a single gulp, which actually wound up being for the best because they hadn't digested. And they says, here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep the dog overnight, and then we're just going to try to scope him out. Because with those rings, I think we can get a scope down and actually hook him and pull him out. And then we won't have to do any surgery. But if we do, it's going to cost you $12,000. And we have pet insurance, thank God. So we did have to pay. We had to put it all on the credit card, but the insurance is going to pay us back. So at the moment, I got a lot on the credit card. But it's okay. The next day, they pulled the 2 skewers out. It did fuck up my vacation plans for next year, but it is what it is. The dog is okay.
Yeah. I mean, dogs are family, so you got to take care of the dog.
Dude, without a question, I can't be that. How am I going to look my kid in the eye and say your dog's not worth saving?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't myself. I love that dog.
Yeah. And he is a favorite of the audience. The audience really likes it when he like fucks with you during the show. Like that's typically everybody's favorite part of the show.
Because he has zero respect for me or anything else around him. He just does what he wants to do all the time.
So we had a hell of a day here. So it's my daughter's birthday. She legit turned 7 today. And got up this morning and I was just hanging out with the boy, my son, he was about to turn 1 in 2 weeks.
Oh my God, it's a year. I can't believe.
Yeah, wow. It's been a year. He's walking, he's doing the whole thing, right? And just like I was reading him a book. He has this little book that he always walks to me and he brings it to me. It's a doggy book, and like you're just counting dogs and like doing dog noises. And by the end of this book, when it's over, he'll start crying and throwing himself on the floor because it's over. He doesn't want me to stop reading this damn book. But anyway, I read him the book like 3 times. And then he sits on the ground and he just starts projectile vomiting everywhere. And he was vomiting all day, couldn't hold down anything. So for the first time in my daughter's life, I was not at her birthday party because I had to be home with the boy. So I had to do things beforehand, do things afterwards, and I mean, I paid for all the gifts, so I think she forgave me. But she understands. But so that sucked. But we had to divide and conquer today with the kids, and but my son is fine now. He actually like probably dropped literally the biggest deuce I've ever seen a baby of his size drop, and then vomited another time right around like 4:30 today. But then since then he's been fine. I know you guys want to hear poop and puke, and this is the life of a parent with a baby. But that was my day. I got puked on 7 times. This is my, I think, 8th outfit of the day. So wearing Under Armour because it can repel liquids a little bit better. So like I'm throwing some Under Armour today. But yeah, but everybody's fine. The whole family's asleep right now. We're doing well. I am live here in the American Southeast, the beautiful Southeast in South Carolina, and ready to get this started, man. We got a big story that dropped this weekend, and I'm fired up for it. I was so fired up, and I was sitting in the office because everybody went to bed and watching football, and I said, I'm going to put notes together. So I actually like pulled some stories. I went to SI. John Alba had some scoopage on this Andrade story, so I'm going to go and talk about that. But let's get to it. So this is from Sports Illustrated, a little bit of Meltzer, a little bit of Fightful. Okay. WWE parts ways with Andrade over disciplinary matters. In a surprising turn, WWE's quietly severed ties with its former United States champion Andrade, shifting him to the alumni section on their website. So that was the weird thing. Like, they didn't announce it. He just got moved to the alumni section. That just reminds me of how, like, when football players are in a contract negotiation, they unfollow their team. That's kind of what it reminded me of. It was like just out of nowhere. It's like you're breaking up on the internet. This move revealed over the weekend was not mutual. The company initiated the release from his contract, unrelated to budget cuts. Sources confirmed the decision stemmed from disciplinary issues, including at least one wellness policy violation during his latest stint with the promotion. While details on the exact nature of the violation remain unclear, it can involve a failed test or failure to provide one. Andrade faced a suspension without pay as a result. He hadn't been seen backstage at recent SmackDown tapings and was absent from internal rosters. Adding to the intrigue, he was reportedly asked to leave a taping last month and escorted out, tied to this suspension, which disrupted creative plans for his tag team with Rey Fenix. This isn't Andrade's first brush with the wellness policy. He was publicly suspended for 30 days in January 2020 after leaving in 2021 for AEW, where he also faced backstage disciplinary issues following slapping around one Sammy Guevara. He returned at the 2024 Royal Rumble and last competed at SummerSlam. Notably, WWE hasn't publicly announced the wellness violations. No, they just leak it. That's how they do it. Since the 2023 TKO merger, company has yet to comment officially on the release. So Andrade, El Idolo, Cien Almas, whatever you want to call him, La Sombra, he is back on the free agent market. He has fucked up another job. What do we think about this Andrade guy? What's going on with this dude?
I have never met a man who cannot be happier in his job. Like, this is a guy that no matter where he goes, he is miserable. I legitimately think that he probably needs some like legit psychological help because there seems to be a dark cloud that follows him around, which is very unfortunate. He's a remarkably talented wrestler. The wellness violation policy, you say? I am shocked to hear that. Shocked. Yeah. He's jacked to the freaking gills.
Well, here's my thing about that. The only reason we found out about that is because of something else happened that they're mad at him for, and they fired him for, and then they leaked it because he's not the only guy in that company doing steroids. All the companies are using steroids.
No. There's other very famous anti-drug people in that company that are doing steroids. So here's my question. To get fired from AEW, he punched Sammy Guevara. So who do we think he punched backstage? Johnny Gargano? Like, who is a Triple H favorite that Andrade said, you know what, this went before, it'll do it again. I'll just suck it.
The thing with Sammy Guevara is he went and started a fight with Sammy, slapped him around, and they still didn't fire him. They just made him work out his contract because literally nobody likes Sammy. So that was like he just slapped around the wrong guy. Had he slapped around Jungle Boy, he might have been able to get fired quickly. But hold on, this guy says he punched Grayson Waller. I haven't heard that, but that'd be funny.
I'm wondering who did Andrade punch this time? Our buddy Ibu said he should hold our buddy Ibu said that Andrade should have a seminar on how to get fired from jobs you don't want. I do think it's funny that he was miserable in AEW, right? He was not getting pushed to what he felt he deserved. He was miserable in AEW, wanted to be around his wife, got himself fired. Actually went out having some pretty damn good matches in that first C2, right? He actually was really good. Yeah, and then goes to WWE, promptly gets divorced, and spends the rest of the time with the Speed title, and then tag teaming with Rey Fenix, who, by the way, was so miserable being on a tag team in AEW with his brother that he quickly jumped to the WWE, where he got put in a tag team with Andrade, because you got to put all the Mexican guys together, I guess. So, I don't know, man. A lot of lateral movement going on.
Yeah, well, and so the thing with all of that is he went to AEW because he actively tried to get out of his contract with WWE for a long time because he wasn't getting pushed, and he was very public about it. And he was so miserable, like him and Buddy Murphy and Miro and all these other cats. So then WWE lets them go. They go to AEW, and same thing happens in AEW. They're miserable there. And then they go right back to WWE, and then Andrade miserable there, not getting pushed the way he wants to get pushed, loses his wife. He's essentially in a mid-card tag team. Now, people did say that tag team was great. I'm sure it was. I didn't see it, but Phoenix and Andrade. And you know what? And he didn't want to do any AAA stuff, which I think is hilarious because one of the only reasons they bought AAA was so they could push guys like Andrade in AAA, and he did not want to go there. Maybe he saw CMLL in his future, and he didn't want to do anything with that. But I don't know what to make of this guy. People seem to be on the fence about whether or not he's going to go back to AEW. Ibu seems to think that he's going to go back to AEW, and very publicly so. Ibu's a connected guy too. Like he very, very connected. Clearly likes Andrade. He's a friend of the show, so we like Ibu. I stated that I thought he was going to go back to AEW because he's a pain in the ass. He's not exactly a draw, at least in the States. I don't know if he was ever a draw in Mexico, but in the States, he's not a draw. But he's just so talented. I just didn't think that Tony would be able to pass him up. And he did go out on a high note in that company. So I was like, I think Tony would bring him back. But I immediately got a DM from somebody that works for a prominent website and said that you and Ibu don't realize the kind of heat he actually has in that company. I don't think he's going back. And so like there's people that think that absolutely he's going back. And then I've heard the complete opposite, like he's absolutely not going back. So I don't know what to make of this guy. I think that I don't know if he's going to go back or not. I think if I'm Tony and I had a guy in my company who wanted out of my company so bad that he was willing to start a fight with one of my wrestlers to get out of his contract, I don't know that I'd want that guy back in my company, especially if he's not adding to the bottom line. But then again, it's Andrade, and he's one of the most talented wrestlers I've ever seen.
That's very interesting because I saw someone, I think it was Ibu's company, I think it was Pirates that posted that someone in AEW said, no bridges truly burned in AEW.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Different people say different things. That could be the way Tony feels, that no bridges burned. I mean, and then there could be people in the locker room that don't like him. I mean, it's funny because you have not heard a lot of negative AEW stuff, locker room stuff, for a while now. Like the last thing we heard was Britt Baker was a pain in the ass, and she hasn't been back in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think for a perception thing, I think it's a good sign if Tony lets him back, just to say, hey, you thought the grass was greener. There's no hard feelings. That's what Vince would have done, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Like, there's people like look at this. I saw someone post this online. It was great. Look at the career of Dustin Rhodes. Like that guy bounced back and forth between WCW, WWF, and TNA for like his like. That's just kind of how wrestling was back then. You get pissy, you move on, you go somewhere else, and you come back. I mean, I don't know. I think it's I think especially the CMLL relationship now being as strong as it is, I'm sure that as long as things are cool between Andrade and CMLL, which I'm not sure how that when he left, I'm not sure if he left in bad blood.
I thought that
question.
Yeah, we're not Lucha guys, but from my understanding is that he did well there on his last couple of appearances. And so I think probably the best thing for everybody involved is that he just goes to CMLL and then Tony can bring him in on certain dates as part of the partnership with that company. And then Court Bauer can get some dates on him too, I'm sure.
Oh, cool. It's the Court. Court's the Renegade Wrestling Whisperer. That was actually hard to say. Renegade Wrestling Whisperer. I know Roosh wants him back.
Yeah,
Roosh
of course.
was already making those tweets. I don't know, man. I think that Andrade is a guy. Andrade is someone I would bring back. I would not bring back a Miro. I would not bring back a Malachi Black. I would bring back of an Andrade because, quite frankly, like, where else is he gonna go?
Yeah.
You know,
I think somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he burned the bridge in New Japan too. Yeah, and so a lot of TNA fans, and I'm one of them, that says TNA should bring him in. I agree. I think if they did bring him in, he would immediately be the best wrestler in their company. And I don't even think it's all that close, to be honest with you. They have some talented wrestlers, but I think he's just a step above. As far as like he has actual like main event, like level talent. And everybody would want him in the company as long as he's not too big of a pain in the ass. I think that's a place you can rebuild yourself. But if this is truly a disciplinary issue, I don't know that they would want to bring him in and potentially upset their partner in WWE. And I think that's where it gets muddy. Now, I say all that to say they currently employ Ryan Nemeth, who has a lawsuit against CM Punk in the WWE and is not on good terms with WWE with the way he left that company whenever he was in developmental. And I don't know if he filed a lawsuit against them, but he did file a major complaint against their developmental system over bullying and all that stuff. So there is precedent there. And Jeff Hardy's been fired 15 times from WWE, but he's also Jeff Hardy, and he's an actual draw, not like Andrade. Like Jeff Hardy actually drew money, so he always gets brought back.
Dude, he would get Tony Khan would also take Jeff Hardy back.
Yeah, yes, he would.
Like, it's Jeff fucking Hardy. Like that guy's on a different level. Like he's that bad boyfriend that like you know we all kind of go okay, but this time it'll be different. Like you know that's I hate to say it. I don't mean to make light of those things, but that's just kind of how pro wrestling treats that guy in particular. I do think it's interesting. I do think you bring up an interesting point. I do think this is the test of the TNA WWE relationship. Like if Andrade was truly, because it seems like WWE sources, your Legentals, have gone out of the way to say this was not a mutual decision firing.
Oh yeah.
And it seems like something bad. I'm amazed it hasn't leaked everything. I'm amazed everything hasn't leaked because we know that he did fail a drug test, but what that wasn't, like you just said, it wasn't the disciplinary measure that got him fired. So what was? So what happened? I'm amazed we haven't heard it.
That reminds me of the time that Scott Hall left the WWE, and then after he left, they had leaked that he had failed the drug test, but they never actually suspended him for the drug test. They didn't do it until after he left, just so they could put dirt on him before he goes to the competition, right?
That happened with Warrior '92 as well when Warrior left the second time. Yeah, I think they might have the third time too. I think that might have happened the third time too. That's test the Ultimate Warrior. That's hilarious. I don't know, man. This is interesting. I do think this is a test to see how strong that WWE TNA relationship truly is. Like, and how toxic is Andrade right now. I'd forgotten about TNA. TNA is a potential source, especially if they do land that big TV deal and they do need guys. I don't know. It's very interesting. I don't think it's a great time to be Andrade, quite frankly, you know, because there's only so many bridges you can burn.
Yeah.
And especially when you want to go to AAA. It's interesting. If he doesn't want to go to AAA, does he want to go to TNA? Like, does he want to be away from WWE? I don't know. It's interesting. It's super interesting.
Yeah. Is his motive? We don't know what his motivation is. He has yet to speak. And, you know, if his motivation is just to go back to Mexico, then CMLL is a spot because they're the hottest company in the world right now, selling the most tickets. But they also don't really they're not paying premium prices for their talent, as far as I know. That's why a lot of them get as much work as they can in the States. That's why a lot of them are working MLW shots. And
I think they pay well for Mexico, right?
Yeah,
I think they pay well for Mexico, but I think in the grand scheme of pro wrestling money, no, not really. Like, I'm not thinking I don't think AAA was before they got WWE money. And who knows what AAA is paying guys now with their WWE? They might still be paying guys like shit. I have no idea. This whole thing is actually very, very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Let's go to the chat. Alter the Squirrel says, I'm sure his MLW run is going to be generational. If he goes to CMLL, every top star from that company is working MLW. In fact, MLW did like 1,500 people last night in Dallas.
Dude, MLW. Okay, no one has been harder on MLW than us, or me personally on Core Power. He does good. They have found their lane of what MLW is. MLW is the island of misfit toys and CMLL, and they'll go to a town once every couple months, and they'll draw a decent crowd because their shows aren't bad. Like some of the booking is kind of bad, but the wrestling's kind of solid actually. In some cases.
They pulled the title off Matt Riddle last night and put it on Mads Kruger. Yeah, but Matt Riddle talked himself into some trouble again, so he no-showed a European indie and said it was because they flew him in on the wrong day, and then kind of motherfucked everybody on the internet, and he's got some heat on him again, of course, because he's Matt Riddle, and he appears to be under some influences. I don't know, man. That guy's trouble.
Remember when I said that Andrade might need to talk to somebody? Matt Riddle needed to talk to somebody 3 years ago.
Yeah. See, Billy says Andrade was given some big wins on the way out of the AEW and Continental Classic, and I found that strange. I don't think Tony wanted to lose him, to be honest with you.
No, I think Tony likes him. I mean, I think Andrade's circumstances were a little different than Punk's. Like, I think at the time he wanted to make his marriage work. Yeah. You know, he seemed like he wanted this to be functional, and he wasn't happy there. Like, I don't think he's capable of being happy. I think I don't want to diagnose anybody, but he doesn't seem like a guy who's a happy person just based on his attitude, you know?
Yeah.
So I think Tony wanted to say, hey, man, the door's always open for you. He's definitely left in better places than other guys have left that company.
Yeah. Billy also says he beat Danielson, Danny Garcia, Brody King in his final 6 matches. Yeah. That's quite the record there for the C2. He did great in the C2. He was fantastic. And everybody's like, man, why is this guy leaving? Alter the Squirrel says, I mean, CM Punk did return to WWE. CM Punk's also a major fucking draw and a difference maker in business. And he has absolutely made a huge difference for WWE.
For sure. You can't argue that. And he also ate a bunch of shit going back there.
Yeah. Yeah. He had to go in front of the public and apologize to Saudi Arabia and cashed a big check afterwards to make himself feel better. Let's see. Andrade by Elegance. Hell yeah. Let's do that.
Actually, that's just a nice ring to it.
Yeah. Nap 528. Nap, put your first name in the chat so I know who the fuck I'm talking to. It says the indie was the one that Matt Riddle no show. It was a charity event. It was a charity event, but it was ran by Al Snow. I don't know if that foundation ever got any money. I'm skeptical of wrestling charity events. So they never paid back the promotion. Yeah, the promotion did give him a deposit and he never paid it back. And it's Al Snow, so Al Snow was running the deal in the UK or something like that. So Christopher says, I would be shocked if Ray Phoenix comes back anytime soon. Ray Phoenix burned a bridge there on the way out. Ray Phoenix and Pentagon, because they were like putting out misinformation about the company and lying to people and trying to fight their way out of their contract. So it that is worse than slapping around Sammy Guevara, clearly, because I think everybody in that company at one point wanted to hit that guy. So
I think everyone still wants to hit that guy. Who doesn't? He's so punchable. Yeah. I think Phoenix and Penta is a different story. But they're very Coney-until, shall we say? I don't know, and I don't know if that was a great move for Phoenix or not, because it seems very lateral. Like the shows are bigger, but it's not like. And I don't watch, but I do follow online what people are saying. I don't see people rave about Ray Phoenix very much. I knew Penta would get over huge because of his whole, his whole deal.
I think Penta's doing really well there. Yeah, Penta's never going to be a guy that is their main event guy, but he is a character on the show that's over, and they're always going to have room for guys like that. I get the feeling Triple H doesn't know the difference between Dragon Lee and Ray Phoenix. Like, he probably has no idea which one is which, guaranteed. They probably have to explain it to him. So, and they're very similar, except for Dragon Lee's like jacked, but they're both very good, but it's just they've never really had a respect for the luchadors. They only really started bringing them in whenever they were planning on buying AAA. So,
and now it seems like they're sticking all the luchadors toward AAA.
Yeah, AAA is doing really well. Dominic Mysterio got the AAA Mega Championship over Vikingo. He's fucking over like crazy in that company, and they had a good match too. Like he's got some people fucking love that guy.
I don't know, man. That show was in a 1,700 person theater. It's not. It's 1,700 person, so I could say really well. They're doing fine.
I think in Mexico they just did like a 20,000 seater though. But yeah, they did a little theater. They did a little theater in Vegas as part of the Canelo weekend.
Sure, yeah, they did that fine here. I mean, AAA's always sold tickets in Mexico. That was never the issue with AAA. Like AAA, especially in Tijuana, like in the northern parts of Mexico, AAA has always done well ticket-wise.
Yeah,
it's the booking and shit that was really bad.
And it was just horribly mismanaged, which it appears it's no longer the case anymore.
No, they're under WWE, which that's. I don't know how much WWE really cares if they own AAA, but eventually they'll sink a nice little TV deal. They'll make money off that, so it's good.
Yeah.
Good move for them.
Speaking of WWE making more money. WrestleMania 23 makes history in Saudi Arabia. Friday, WWE had a press conference where no press was invited. I thought that was pretty funny. In Las Vegas for a big announcement. WrestleMania 43 is headed to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia in 2027 for the first time. Adventures outside of North America. And the Saudi Arabian government, they want all the old school stars there. They're probably going to get The Rock. They're looking for Steve Austin. I'm sure John Cena's retirement will be short-lived. And apparently the word on Twitter, which I don't think has been confirmed yet, but that's like way north of $100 million is what Saudi is spending on this event. So some people have even said that it was over 200 million. I don't know what the real number is, but just an insane amount of money for WWE basically to sell their biggest event to a foreign government for sports washing, which is working, by the way. Completely working. I watched Canelo versus Bud Crawford over the weekend. Good fight, by the way, and on Netflix. And they were in Las Vegas and 60,000 people, and it was promoted and sponsored by Riyadh Season. Turkey Al Sheikh was there front and center, and all the comedians that are coming to Saudi Arabia were in the audience, and Mr. Beast was there, and every celebrity in the world was there promoting Saudi Arabia. So it worked. Everybody that hates it is screaming into a void, and nobody cares. It's very clear. What they're doing is working. Money has a lot of power over people. Yeah. So yeah, WWE, man, headed to Saudi Arabia for WrestleMania. What are your thoughts?
I don't have any. I'm not surprised by this at all. I don't care for the company. I don't care for how they run their business. But what do I matter? I'm just some freaking dork talking to not even a microphone, talking to my headset. It's just. I don't know. The whole thing feels dirty to me, but I mean, in all honesty, with what's gone on in that region of the world in the last few years, maybe the Saudi atrocities that happened are kind of have moved down the list. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a lot more. I think that there's a lot more atrocities occurring in that side of the world that I think need more attention, more than Saudi Arabia at the moment. Yeah, they're awful, but.
They're awful, but they're also a United States federal government ally, a big ally, our biggest ally, an important ally in that region.
But that's not new. That's been the case. That's why do you think we went to war in 1990? They were out. Kuwait got conquered, and all of a sudden Iraq was right next to Saudi Arabia, and we went there to protect our investments. They've been an ally of ours for a long, long time. So I mean, I don't know, none of this is surprising. They're trying to clean up their image, I don't love it, but at the same time, they are the worst. They really aren't the worst thing going on over there. So.
No, I mean they're still awful, but yeah, they're definitely not the worst. They're definitely not the worst thing over there. And a lot of people are coming after WWE wrestlers for going. I'm just like, look, that's their job, and I never judge anybody based on who they work for, because I worked for the U.S. federal government for 21 years, and they've done some horrible fucking things too. So but look, I think the whole thing is gross. I have admitted defeat. I am not fighting that fight anymore because it's not my fight to fight. I know there's guys like Brandon Thurston and there's other folks in the media that really want this battle. You guys are not winning, unfortunately. Like you guys don't have the power, but write your articles and do your thing. And, it comes off as, self-righteous and do your thing. I get it. I'm not fighting that fight anymore. It's no longer my fight. I fought it hard for like a year and then I realized, nothing that I say is going to change the matter. So I'm just going to move on.
That's the thing is like too. It's like if you work for Philip Morris, you know who you work for. Like I don't think anyone that works for WWE can legitimately say that we work for the good guys. Like what you're, especially now in this TKO era where they're just outwardly saying, "Hey, we're here to make money." Like they made fun of Vince McMahon for trying, which is just crazy. All these bad about Vince McMahon. They say, "What an idiot! He's making it cheaper for families."
Right?
Yeah.
They somehow in the middle of a sex trafficking scandal, baby-faced Vince McMahon of all people.
I'm dying over here. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like then Mark Shapiro he managed to make Vince McMahon. He manages to make a man under federal investigation look like the good guy time and time again by what things he says. But again, their fans don't care as long as they can flap for Valkyria and say yeet. They don't care. And to be frank, it's always been like that. Nothing has to do with WWE fans. Like they were doing the same stuff with Hogan and Steve Austin when he was. And I'm an Austin fan, but let's be real. He punched Deborah Michael in the face, and
he did. He appears to have turned his life around. But yes, there was a time. Yeah.
I agree. And I'm a firm believer. We both have talked about this. I believe a man can change. I believe a man can change. I believe that, a lot of crimes you can redeem yourself from. I do believe that. But that never stopped. But like at the height of it, no one ever stopped cheering for him. You know what I'm saying? Like WWE fans, and this is for 45 years, do not care. Like as long as they have their wrestling. And I can't fight it. I mean, like it's just, I can't hold this generation. I can't hold this generation up to things that failed in previous generations. Hey, look who's in this. Look who's just walked in the room.
I hope he's not eating a metal skewer.
Might be. My $10,000 dog just showed up. What up, man? Hey, you want to come say hi to everybody? You want to say hi? Come here. Come say hi. Oh, you're shirtless? Show off your muscle.
Yeah, let's see the guns, dude.
Oh, he's a jack little 9-year-old, and he gets like a little embarrassed about it when I call him.
Really? Probably what, like 3-4 girlfriends right now, just waiting in line.
Terrified of girls, absolutely terrified. He is 9 years old, and at 70 pounds, he deadlifted 110 pounds.
No shit. Good. Look at him. What a legend.
Oh, mom just texted me. He's all sunburned, so he doesn't want anyone to look at him. That is.
Oh, okay.
So, we'll close my door if you don't want to be on the show.
Yeah, we're live, pal. What are you doing, Andy?
Bushly kid over here, man.
the red light's on. But I thought I was like, look, I watched Canelo and Crawford, and I didn't feel bad about it one bit. I enjoyed the fight. You know what I mean?
No, I don't actually. Educate me. Why should I feel bad about that? I don't know.
Because it is being promoted and sponsored by the government of Saudi Arabia on American soil in Las Vegas. There's commercials to visit Riyadh. Riyadh was all over the ring canvas, and along with the other sponsors. And I know, like, I'm supposed to feel bad about it. Unfortunately, I just don't care anymore. They won. I get it. Like, look, the NFL is absolutely going to have a football game in Saudi Arabia. It's going to happen, and I'm going to watch. Right? That's just all there is to it. I can be all up in arms about it. I can be self-righteous and sanctimonious about it, or I could realize that I don't have any power over the situation. I'm just gonna watch it. Now, there are worse things WWE can do to get me to stop watching, which is put on bad television, which is kind of why I don't really watch very much anymore. But if it's good, I'm probably going to watch it. I have a question for you, JD. And I have a question for the audience. I really want the audience to sound off on this. If you're in the chat, let me know your answer to this question. I think this is a great question. WrestleMania is going to Saudi Arabia in 2027. Should AEW run a stadium show at the same time in the U.S. and invite all the usual indies that work Mania week?
No,
you don't think so? Okay.
No. Oh, no.
Explain.
No. Who would watch? Like, I mean, not who would watch, because you get your AEW fans to watch. I think AEW should avoid WWE dates as often as possible.
Okay.
I don't think the business is strong. Are you talking about the week of? Sorry, the week of. We just got a text from a friend, so I just want to make sure I'm on the same page because maybe I missed up. Did you talk about
I think
or the week before? I might have misunderstood.
No, running opposition WrestleMania weekend. AEW runs a stadium or a big show, and they do StarCast, WrestleCon, whatever it's called, and GCW runs all their events. Because now look, those indies that typically would run WrestleMania week are no longer, like, I'm sure most of them are not, like, GCW is not going to Saudi Arabia. They would love to go, but most of their guys are going to get fucking beheaded because they're addicted to drugs, right? Like they're just not going to go. So I don't think that's going to happen. So like, should AEW babyface the US and run a big wrestling show that weekend? And no, you don't think so. You don't think that would be successful?
I think they'd be killed on pay-per-view.
I think they would get killed with their rating, right? But I don't think they would get killed in their ticket buying, because most people are not going to Saudi Arabia for that show. Like that's not going to be a traveling show. You're going to get some people to make it out there, but a lot of countries won't even let you go to Saudi Arabia. And if you're like a female or you're gay or something like you're not going to fucking go to Saudi Arabia. They won't let you in the country, right? Like you have to act and if you're female, you have to dress a certain way, act a certain way. Now, if you're gay, they're certainly not letting you go into that country. So I just don't think a lot of wrestling fans are going to make it. I think they're going to want to have a place to go to come April of 2027. And I think AEW could be those people to make that happen and babyface it. Because that's what a lot of AEW is built upon, was babyfacing themselves in the face of WWE's atrocities.
No, that's a good point.
Hold on. You say that's a good point. Thank you. Point for Mike. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think it was a good point. I'll be the first to admit when you make sense. I'm a coward ultimately when it comes to business. Like I can't go to WBD. My partners who will put a pin in that and just be like, hey man, let's run a pay-per-view opposite of WrestleMania. That just sounds, when I say that, it sounds stupid to me.
Right. What? Just put it on TV. Like run a Grand Slam that weekend.
You want to run Clash of Champions, the original Clash of Champions. Clash of Champions 1 was ran on TBS opposite WrestleMania 4. Yeah. And it worked. People don't talk about this because all we ever do is suck off the WWE and how amazing they were. WrestleMania 4 buy rate was way down. People say, oh, it's because of the tournament. Nope. Because you know what did really kick ass ratings? Clash of the Champions. Yeah. A ton of wrestling fans decided to watch the first, and they ran with Flair and Sting before Sting was Sting. Like that was Sting's first sniff at a main event.
It's like the legendary match that people say propelled Sting, but I think he had like another year and a half on the undercard after that. But
it made him a household. It made him a household name because he was Sting literally works the opener of Starrcade '87 in November, and then by March? By March, he's working the main event with Flair. So Flair does literally pick him from obscurity, and he does get super over. But then in classic, WCW form, they didn't know what the hell to do with the guy. So that's aside from the point. So hold on a second. Now I'm thinking.
Okay, I'm changing your mind a little bit. Okay.
I'm changing my mind. If you were to run a free show on HBO Max, or TBS, TNT, whatever, in a stadium, WrestleMania weekend in the US. Okay, now I can be on board because when I'm like, okay, it's because your PPV number is going to suck ass. But if you give a show away for free, just to kind of counter, I mean, like it could blow up in your face, but at the same time, maybe not because it could. Okay, I don't hate it. Our magic friend that always texts us during the show. Let me know what you think of this idea because
I'm way behind on some of the texts. I'm trying to stay focused on the show.
I'm using my phone night as a camera, so they keep
popping. Okay. Let's go to the chat. It says Billy says, you think there's a chance Mania starting in 2027 ends up being in Saudi if they bid the most? They're going to go where the most money is. Yeah, for sure.
I think Mania could absolutely be a Saudi house show for the next decade plus.
It says Christopher thinks we'll get Stone Cold versus Punk and Roman versus Rock. If anybody can get that to happen, it'd be Saudi.
I don't know if Stone Cold will do that. I think he might. I don't. Steve has a lot of pride.
He does.
And I don't think he'd want to have a shitty match.
No, I think he should look at what Sting did in his 60s and work like 6 and 8 man tags and come in, throw a couple of heating punches, brawl around ringside, hit a stunner, and call it good, in a tag match. But I don't know that he'd be willing to do that. But I get the feeling that Cena and The Rock and Taker and like Taker can't move, but he'll be there. You know what I mean? Like all their biggest stars are going to be there.
He was at the press conference for some reason.
Well, he's like Jeremy Borash is like kind of the head booker for AAA, but Taker is kind of like he's like their Triple H. He's like their Shawn Michaels
for AAA.
Yeah. He's kind of running stuff down there now. Billy says Billy was with you. He says AEW should not counter program WWE, and that these indie events will just piggyback on SummerSlam instead. There, it's already 2 days. I think they will go to SummerSlam.
But why not piggyback more when you know that, like, and that's the thing, is like the reason they can't piggyback off SummerSlam and Mania is because it gives them more money.
Right. Now, a piggybacking off of an AEW event during WrestleMania weekend will nowhere near be as successful as what WrestleMania weekends are for those indie companies, but I think they'll still do pretty well, right?
But you got a point. Like if AEW did an all-in at Jackson was a terrible place to run, actually. But if they did
what about MSG? What about MSG? Run MSG with Grand Slam and do it on a Saturday, and you don't have to do 2 nights. And then all those little indie companies can run the Manhattan Center and all those other little places around New York City. I think that would be the biggest fuck you ever to the WWE. That would be so cool.
And then Tony Khan makes the announcement that all AEW wrestlers are now employees with full retirement benefits.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
No, I know. As long as we're fantasy booking, I was going to go for the whole thing.
You go too far with your workers' rights. That's just like if the Khan family could get rid of the NFLPA, they would, guaranteed.
Oh, sure, sure they would. I was just having fun. I don't hate the idea though. I think Madison Square Garden cost a fortune to run. But if the idea is to spike WWE, that's a pretty good way to do it.
Yeah. Alto the Squirrel says, I say go for it, stir the pot, embrace the chaos, YOLO. And again, look, I'm spending Tony Khan's money with this idea. Like nothing comes back on me if it blows up in my face. It's all him and his family. So that's why I'm willing to put these ideas out there, because like there's no consequence for me. I totally get that. I'm trying to spend another man's money. But that's kind of what podcasting is hard.
Yeah, sports fan podcast, that's what we do.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've told Jed York of the 49ers that he should sign somebody that he probably should not sign, but I still want him to do it anyway. That's just what this deal is. All right. So you you were invited to the Brace for Impact, but you dropped in on the show on Thursday, talking about this Paramount Skydance thing. So a little bit of an update. You sent me an article, so I brought some notes over. I'll read them right now. Fresh off their $8 billion acquisition of Paramount Global just 5 weeks ago, David Ellison, Skydance Media, is already eyeing a blockbuster deal, a potential $70 billion plus buyout of Warner Brothers Discovery in full. He wants to do a cash deal on this too, by the way. Why the rush? Analysts suggest it's to consolidate assets amid industry turmoil, building a streaming powerhouse with studios and TV networks, potentially preempting a bidding war after WBD's planned 2026 split into Warner Brothers streaming studios and Discovery Global, the TV networks. By acting now, they could snag the whole entity, including HBO Max, before rivals like Netflix, Amazon, or Apple cherry pick the premium parts post-split. WBD's stock surged 29% on the news. That's huge, boosting its market value to $40 billion and enterprise value to $71 billion, far exceeding the Skydance Paramount deal price. Challenges abound, including WBD's high debt and regulatory hurdles, so the debt's still really high. Synergies could come from merging TV businesses like CBS News with CNN, or NCAA partnerships, and yada yada yada. So, so this is a big story. I think they're coming in. WBD seems to think that Paramount might come in low on the offer, which that's what negotiations are. But
I don't know if you read our buddy BJ Bethel's post. BJ Bethel was sharing some stuff from the New York Post, and I trust the New York Post for this because they're such a right wing vehicle that I know that a lot of people speak through them. And David Zaslav, this is from Zaslav. Zaslav saying Paramount is coming in way too low. They don't want Paramount to come in and take the whole thing. They want the bidding war.
Yeah.
And that's why, and I said this on the show on Brace for Impact, that I think David Zaslav wants the spinoff because they can make more by selling both sides of the company. Like we consider go, whoa, cash deal. And I think that what WBD wants everyone involved. They want Apple, they want Netflix, they know what they are. WBD had a great year at the box office. They're the number one TV studio again. Like, and it's taken a while under Zaslav for them to kind of get their shit together again. But right now they're hot. And the reason that I was wondering why this got out so easily, and I think the reason this happened, I think Ellison's people have put this out there to kind of, one, it boost up the stock of WBD, to get them to be on the side of saying, hey, we're gonna do this. And Zaslav can sit there and say nothing and allow it to happen, or he can say, no, you're not coming in high enough. Because we're not talking necessarily about a corporate takeover. We're talking about a merger. Both sides have to agree to the merger. And if Warner Brother doesn't agree to the merger, it's you're just saying, we'll give you this. And they can, it doesn't quite work that way, I think the way it smells to me is that WBD, David Zaslav particularly, wants the fight. I think he wants to get everybody involved. I think that this is why this story kind of leaked. I think that this is WBD specifically, now that I'm going through this, wants Netflix, wants Apple, wants everyone to kind of get this, because they do have a ton of debt, and Zaslav can sit there and go, your problem now, which is what I don't understand about this Ellison thing, is because they have so much debt already in this very young Paramount company, and they're just going to accrue more of it. And the idea is to find another merging partner. But if you're the guy who keeps spending, who's going to, what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Who pays that tab eventually? Saudi Arabia? I don't know. Like somebody like that chicken's going to come home to roost eventually. But debt is basically fake. Like
that's not real. Debt isn't real. But I mean, like I tell you, the only reason debt is real is because your investors don't like it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's more smoke to this fire than we thought. I don't think it's going to, and I could be wrong. Tomorrow morning they can announce the merger, but my vibe is that this gets drawn out a little bit more. I think Zaslav wants the spinoff. I think he does. I think it's bad if Paramount does take over WBD, specifically for their control of the news and of itself. I think we're coming. This is JD talking here. I think we're coming to a point with traditional media news that we've had a watershed moment where people just aren't trusting. Like as the news push, as one side tries to control all assets of the media, and you're going to get a hard backslash. It's just the way it goes with everything. When things swing hard to one side, they always swing back hard. Like it's that Newton's second law. Like every action is an equal and opposite reaction. And the rise of AI, we're producing stuff with AI now that's going to make regular folks assume everything they see in the media is fake, right? And it's coming within the next 2 to 3 years. Like news getting your news from the internet will be a thing of the past, because we won't be able to trust it. So everyone will assume everything's fake, and then people will shut it off. We'll just not listen to anything. What happens after that is up for a debate, because nobody knows. Right? We've reached the point of like yellow journalism in the early 20th century, when all news was bullshit. And because this is why I wrote my senior thesis on it for my history degree. Like we don't have the U.S.-Philippine War specifically was started because Hearst needed to sell papers, so he literally drummed up all this bullshit.
William Randolph Hearst is one of the worst men in the history of America. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. Have you ever seen the movie Citizen Kane? It's loosely inspired by William Randolph Hearst.
Yeah, his house though, super nice. Hearst Castle. I've been there before. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. But yeah, like people as William Randolph Hearst, as much people complain about our president, I will give you a man who was 10 times worse.
Yeah.
He was awful. He was an awful, awful human being. And we've reached that point. And again, this guy made sure that people didn't trust newspapers. That's basically what happened for a long time. And newspapers had to become squeaky clean to kind of overcome what that guy did to them. So we're reaching a watershed moment with the internet, with internet media specifically because of that. And this is fascinating. I think the next 5 years will be because think about when we started this show back in like 2020, 2021, right? The world is a completely different place.
Yeah.
Than it was pre-pandemic. Now look at where we are now. And I do think another 5 years, we're going to look back and laugh at these kind of simple things. I think things are going to change very, very rapidly. as far as news consumption goes.
Yeah, there's more changes in store for Paramount. So I'm covering this Paramount thing because this ultimately is going to affect wrestling. It's going to affect UFC. It's going to affect the whole dynamic. Now, I heard Dave the other day. It was on Friday, and he was telling Garrett that he doesn't think that the Paramount WBD merger would affect AEW. I wouldn't be so confident in that if I were him. The history tells us that could go badly for them. We might not get there. I would just caution against being so confident that they won't be hurt by it.
I think what keeps AEW safe is having a billionaire owner that will file lawsuits. And you could sit there and say, well, the Trump administration, da-da-da-da. Yeah, but the time it goes to court, who knows who's in charge?
So Trump administration can't do anything about a civil case, but what won't happen is the federal government's not going to go after them for antitrust, but like people can sue them for antitrust and all that stuff. Yeah.
Correct. That's the thing is like, and you have a billionaire enemy that can bleed you for a long, long time. Yeah. And as TKO has already shown a willingness to settle up, right? As they look at that with the big fighter lawsuit from a couple of years ago. They didn't want that fight, right? They could have drawn out for a long time, but it's easier to write a check to shut people up. Tony Khan can let that thing go on for a very long time.
Yeah.
And that's not in their bet. I think they would much rather crush them under the weight of business rather than making one fell swoop to get rid of them, because that's not going to work.
Yeah. So our last story, and we're going to close with this. I always try to squeeze in TNA news on the show. Of course. We got a lot of TNA fans in the chat, so I got to squeeze in some TNA news, but I thought this was pretty interesting. TNA squashes rumor on Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling ban. A rumor was circulated because of an interview from Moose. Moose did an interview on the internet, and this is what he said. He's talking about Scott D'Amore, who was his mentor, and I think at one point was his agent. Said, I talk to him at least once every other week, maybe once a month. He's doing great. He has his new Fed, Maple Leaf Pro. They're doing awesome. I wish I could work for them, but you know how business is with the whole TNA. They have a relationship with AEW, and we're in competition with AEW. So you know how all that nonsense goes. Dave Meltzer read that and then took to the newsletter and stated that TNA thinks that AEW is their enemy and that there is an edict that TNA wrestlers are not allowed to work in MLPW, which then caused an uproar because TNA management, who is, I can say this, readily available to answer these questions had Dave reached out, but he clearly did not reach out to them for comment. He said so this is from Mike Johnson. Multiple TNA sources have debunked this as 100% incorrect. Their main argument, this is Mike Gilbert's editorial, the main argument that TNA is putting out there is that Moose is stupid, which I think is a pretty solid argument. But we also know from this show that Moose is also a liar. So
are you telling me Moose lied in the internet interview and caused trouble?
Yes.
Get out.
Yeah. Get out. Yeah. Tommy Dreamer came out and put a statement on Twitter, and the picture that he put up was a picture of him wearing a Moose Sucks Eggs t-shirt saying that Scott D'Amore is my friend. TNA wrestlers have worked MLPW before and they'll work there again. They have. I think one of the issues was early on is that Scott did what Scott loves to do most when he was booking TNA talent, is have them lose to AEW talent. So that was happening. But there's been a lot of scheduling conflicts. A lot of the MLP shows are happening right around the same time as TNA shows. So, but most recently Santino is being booked on it. Now I get the feeling that Moose was denied going there at some point and they didn't explain to him why. And so he made up his own reasons. I think there's a grain of truth into what he's saying. I believed it at first, and I still believe there's a part of it because I know for a fact that people in that company don't like Scott D'Amore because they feel like he's feeding Dave, negative information on their company since he got fired. Like a lot of people think that. And in fact, Carlos Silva replied to Dave and said, no, our guys have worked there before and they can work there and they'll work there again. And he goes, Scott can just call me and ask these questions. And he told that to Dave Meltzer instead of telling that to Scott because I fully believe that they think that Scott is the one telling Dave this information. So now, because I don't think that Dave just read the interview and then went with that. I think he probably reached out to somebody who confirmed it and twisted that knife a little bit. But TNA is adamantly saying that this is not the truth. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But saying that Moose is just stupid is a pretty good argument. In fact, Don Callis all over Twitter quote tweeting Dave. He's like, nope, Moose is the most trusted name in news. So Callis works for Maple Leaf Pro. He's friends with Moose, clearly, and he's making fun of Dave for running a story that came from Moose, which is, bad on Dave, I guess.
So here's the thing, though, is I think that Callis is a smart man who knows how to manipulate the internet.
Yeah.
And why is Scott saying this if there's not some accurate? Like, has Scott been denied people to come over? Now, here's the thing, too. Are there unwritten rules? Like, I know they have one there. Like, as WWE saying, is this something TNA has, are they denying sending people there lately? Like, is this something, like, why is Scott saying this necessarily, right? If it's something that can be easily misproven. Because if the news is coming from Scott, why say it? So I do wonder if there's something more than we are seeing from that side.
Yeah. He was probably denied booking certain people. They did send him Santino recently. He probably wanted dates on guys like Moose and other people, and they denied him, but they never told him why. And when there's no communication, you tend to come up with your own reasons at times, is what I'm guessing. But the article stated, this is from PW Insider. Now I have not, since the first two shows, I have not watched any Maple Leaf Pro. But they recently worked on September 5th, which was the same night that TNA was running. And then I do know a couple months ago, TNA was running in Ontario, and at the same time, the same weekend, Maple Leaf Pro was running Windsor. So TNA was in Toronto area, and Maple Leaf Pro was running in Windsor, which is the border city home. And they were running, it was the same weekend, they were running the same time. So they couldn't send talent over there, but I do know TNA talent have worked there before, but I don't know why this is becoming an issue. I just found it funny that collectively Tommy Dreamer, Don Callis, and Carlos Silva, who brought up that Moose knows this now, are just, the argument is Moose is just dumb.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think anybody would deny that,
Yeah.
But I do wonder if there's some other, because it's wrestling, dude. Everybody lies. Everyone's like, oh, obviously this, but then we find out years later that there is truth to things. So I never, especially when the mouthpiece is Mike Johnson and Dave Scherer, you have to question everything that's being said about anything.
And so I'm reading what Mike Johnson wrote, but this is verbatim what Tommy Dreamer and Carlos Silva said on Twitter.
I get that too,
Yeah.
but I mean, Mike Johnson and Dave Scherer are not trustworthy sources on anything.
No.
So I'm not defending Dave, because I'm sure Dave is reporting what Scott Demore told him. I just think there's a lot of unwritten stuff that we aren't seeing, that we don't know. And politics is a weird thing where there's a lot of, where written edicts are not necessarily how things are enforced. You know what I'm saying? I do think that there's something more to all of this. And I think Moose being dumb is definitely a massive factor in all this.
Yeah, I get the feeling that whenever, because those first couple of shows, TNA sent a lot of talent, and they all got beat by AEW talent. I get the feeling TNA was not happy about that, especially considering they got this partnership with WWE, and AEW talent would not be allowed to reciprocate it in that same thing. You know what I mean? So I get the feeling they were not happy with that, but that still didn't stop them from continuing to send people. How many people and which talents? The only one that I know of recently was Santino, who is a legitimately contracted talent. Worked their shows. I don't know. I think people, and I think Dave might have even. I did read what Dave wrote in the Observer, but I'm not remembering everything right now. It was either him or somebody else connected this to. This must be WWE's power over TNA, forcing this. Here's what I want people to stop doing. If TNA does something stupid or TNA does something unsavory, you don't need to connect that to WWE, because you're letting TNA off the hook when you do that, because TNA is more than capable of doing some stupid shit that would be unsavory. TNA, yeah, there is some legitimate heat with Scott D'Amore there. Tommy Dreamer's not going to say it publicly. In fact, Tommy Dreamer's probably telling the truth that Scott D'Amore is still his friend, right? But there's other people like upper management that really don't like him right now. And so I would assume that if they were not letting people work there, it's because they just didn't like Scott.
Let's be real. You got this deal with WWE right now, which for the large part of this deal, TNA guys have to light out for WWE guys. It's just happened frequently. Doesn't help your deal if they also go to AEW and have to light out for those guys who you don't have a deal with. You know, like it's not a great, like TNA is kind of in a no-win situation with any of this, in all honesty.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think if Scott was like, hey, Moose was most recently the X Division champion during some of the MLPW tapings. If Scott was like, hey, can I have your X Division champion? We want him to come over here and lay down for fucking whoever, Takeshita or whoever works those shows, Speedball. Like TNA's probably going to say no. You know what I mean? Like
as they should. Like that's
so it's probably not a very complicated thing, but somebody's mad at somebody, and so they're leaking information, and the media is running with it because it's, hey, look, we're talking about it here because A, I thought it was pretty funny, but B, the thumbnail and the YouTube clip is probably going to do like this might be a $2.50 video. Like, let's be honest. That's pretty fucking good in YouTube ads. So
I'm thinking.
Yeah, I get it. They just couldn't keep their hands off the story, and of course, when you involve WWE forcing TNA's hand to mistreat their own talent, which again, I'm just laughing when people connect everything to WWE. Is like, guys, not everything is involving the war between WWE and AEW. Like TNA can do dumb things on their own. Like they don't need WWE guidance there.
Yeah, but I don't think, and it's weird for me to take up for TNA. I don't know if it's a good move for TNA to send guys up there that are going to lose. You know, like
right,
because that does become fodder for the wrestling war. Yeah. If they're sending out their guy, I mean, that's just wrestling 101, right? Like back in the day, if you sent your champion to another territory and he's doing JOBs, like the promoter's not going to be happy. And I don't blame David Silva if they weren't to send, even like I said, if they didn't want to send guys here because they didn't want to losing the competition guys. You know, it makes total sense just taking WWE out of the equation altogether.
Right.
Like, I don't think this necessarily has to be like some type of grand conspiracy to see it might not be good business for TNA to do that.
Yeah. But I do get the feeling that because of this whole story, that you'll be seeing more TNA stars on that show. So,
for sure. Yeah. Next time.
Which if this was the purpose behind D'Amore leaking the story, if that's what he did, I don't know who did it. It could have very well been Dave just reading what Moose said and wrote a whole thing about it and connected the dots there to this grand conspiracy against AEW, which a lot of people on the internet do. Everything is coming back to poor mistreated billionaire Tony Khan, like with $185 million TV deal. Yeah, poor mistreated Tony Khan. But that could be exactly what just happened. But because he did in an argument to somebody from TNA, one of the TNA's like production guys, quoted what Moose said, and it seemed like that was the majority of the basis of the story, which is why Don Callis is making fun of him so hard. So. Mm-hmm.
So here's the lesson: anybody that wants to interview Moose, you're going to get a great soundbite. We did.
Yeah, and you can bait him into talking about stuff. I got him to admit that he thinks he could beat up Floyd Mayweather, and sure enough, I strategically baited him into that, and because I knew Fightful would pick it up, and sure enough, Jeremy Lambert had the story the next day. Now the link to our video was buried in the article. They put like the head, like so on their website. They have one of their YouTube videos at the top that had nothing to do with the interview, but in the body of the article was a hyperlink to our interview. So we got no business from it.
No, I mean, they're not Mike and JD fans necessarily.
Yeah. Hold on. Nap 528 said, I did see SRS say Scott denied it to him. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, Scott D'Amore did deny the whole story too, and so. Everybody's just pointing it back to Moose just talking out of his ass, which again, highly likely.
Highly likely.
Yeah. But All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for us this time on the Mike and JD Show. Please head to patreon.com/the Mike and JD Show. Become a $5 subscriber today. That's how we support the show. That's how we pay for fucking expensive ass StreamYard. That's how we pay for all of our equipment, and that's how we justify to our wives to continue to let us do this stupid ass podcast. So please head over there, or if you're just watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment. We would greatly appreciate it. Or if you're listening to us on the Voices of Wrestling Network, download the show, give us a 5-star review, and share the show with your friends. We would greatly appreciate it. And until next time, mahalo.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. A made no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This is an A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. A made no rain from...
Hello everyone, my name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the #1 show all about the world of Joshi Pro Wrestling. Every other Monday, we're coming at you with news, show reviews, and previews of upcoming Joshi action.
So whether you're just getting into the scene or you've seen it all, this is the show for you.
Check us out on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network and wherever you get your audio.
Do you like wrestling trivia? Then check out the 5-Star Match Game, the Pro Wrestling Quiz Show. I'm Joe Gagney, and every episode, I grill 3 contestants with 5 rounds of power-packed wrestling trivia. We have over 30 evergreen episodes in the archives covering WWE, AEW, Japan, Mexico, and much, 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 much more. Play along at home and check it out today.